So obviously it's it's free agency signing period right now, and a lot of people been getting signed, a lot of trades been being made, stuff like that. Not gonna lie, man. As a Detroit Lions fan, I've not really been happy with our offseason so far. I'm just gonna keep it a bean with y'all, man. I mean, for me, it started off with I really don't know why we let Zadarius Smith go, um, especially when you had no plans to get any of these other edge rushers. So you was just gonna run it back with Marcus Davenport. I really don't understand that. Like I like Marcus Davenport, but he's been injured like most of his career, even going back to when he was with the Saints. So you had a known commodity in Zadarius Smith, who was only gonna I think he was only gonna cost you guys like $5 million. Like for an edge rusher, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But once you let him go, I'm like, okay, Brad Holmes clearly has a plan in place, man. Like he ain't just gonna let somebody go that's only gonna be making like $5 million that had like 9 sacks last year. So he clearly has a plan. So as I told y'all before, for me, I was hoping that they were gonna go after Josh Sweat and Khalil Mack. Well, I saw instantly that Khalil Mack signed right back with with the Chargers. So I was like, well, he off the board. And then later on, I saw that Josh Sweat had signed this massive contract with the Cardinals. And when I saw the contract, I was like, Josh Sweat is a good player, but I'm so glad that we didn't sign him for what they signed him for, because that's crazy. Like, let me just make sure I'm not tripping, man. But I want to say like his highest like ever sack total was maybe like 7 or 8 sacks or something like that. Let me just make sure I ain't tripping though, man. Let me see. I don't even know what team he gonna show up on at this point, man. But let me see where he at. Oh, he had 8 sacks last year. Yeah, so he had 8 sacks last year, which was his. Obviously, it was a a contract year. But before that, let me see. His rookie year, 0 sacks. Second year, 4 sacks. Third year, 6, 7. Oh, I'm sorry. I completely missed. He had 11 sacks one year. So he's been pretty good. He's been a good edge rusher. Not great, in my personal opinion. Not $20 million a year great, but yeah, it was around $20 million they signed him for, or 18 million or something like that. But either way, I just we got Aiden Hutchinson coming up. His contract gonna be coming up next year, I believe. They'll probably re-sign him to a massive. He's gonna damn near be on a Myles Garrett type contract. I hope not, but it's hard to say that he won't. I mean, he's been really good since he got in the league. But once I saw like what they signed Josh Sweat for, I was just kind of like, yeah, y'all can have that, because we wasn't really in a position, even though we got plenty of cap space. I just think that would have been a stupid signing, which brings me back to my original point of why didn't you just keep, Zadarius Smith at 5 million, regardless of if you were going to go get somebody else or not. Like that's such a small price to pay for a still somewhat premier edge rusher. I mean, he had 9 sacks last year, which is more than Josh Sweat. So I was a little upset about that. I was happy about the DJ Reed signing. Um, I think um, I think DJ Reed. I'm not going to say he fits better than Carlton Davis does, but Carlton Davis got a lot more money from New England than we paid DJ Reed. And DJ Reed's been really good alongside Sauce Gardner. In fact, I would argue he's been better than Sauce Gardner. Sauce had like the big rookie year, and his second year was okay. But he's been kind of like dipping down, ever since his rookie year, and that's hard for me to say because that's a Detroit boy right there. So I want to see him do good. But I mean, many would argue that DJ Reed's been playing even better than Sauce Gardner, and you might make the claim that maybe he's been playing better because Sauce usually locks up or usually follows he doesn't follow him, but he usually has the number one receiver most of the time. But regardless, I was definitely happy about that. Like I said, we did re-sign Davenport, so if he's healthy, he is a good player, but he's almost never healthy. So that's my biggest problem. So then I'm looking like, okay, I saw that there was rumblings about the Chargers. They were going to cut Joey Bosa. I'm like, well, let's go get Joey Bosa then. Didn't go get him. I'm like, all right, maybe they trying to make a trade for Trey Henderson, which would be stupid to me again, because if you go back to me saying I didn't want them to make the Myles Garrett trade because it was going to cost us way too much. Trey Hendrickson wants some ridiculous amount of money too. And it's not that he's not a really good edge rusher, because he is. We have so many other players that are coming up. Like, we're gonna have to pay Jameson. We just paid Barnes, Derek Barnes. We like I said, Aiden's coming up. Excuse me. Jameer's coming up. So like, we're gonna have to pay these guys, coming up. So we can't tie up a bunch of money in these premier edge rushers. You got to be really strategic in who you go get. So, I thought once Joey Bosa came up, like, all right, maybe that's somebody that we'll go after. We just, like I said, I haven't really been that impressed with our offseason thus far. We signed a D tackle from the Cardinals, which we just signed him to a 1-year deal. I can't remember his name right now, but let me see if I pulled him up. Yeah, I don't remember his name, but no big splash plays or nothing like that. So I just think that our GM man and Dan Campbell, I think they're just banking on hitting in the draft, which they've can't question what they do in the draft, because they've definitely been really good with drafting and developing players so far. So I'm gonna trust the process. Actually, I'm not using that term again. Joel Embiid and them boys, they ruined it for me, man. But I'm gonna trust that our management is gonna do what they're supposed to do, and I'm gonna trust that they're gonna surround our guys, with the right pieces to be successful. So we'll see how it goes. But let's look at some of these other big names that got signed. We already talked about Josh Sweat to the Cardinals, DeAndre Hopkins to Baltimore. I don't really know how I feel about this, man. Like, DeAndre Hopkins, to me, like, he's definitely like on the down slope of his career. Like, if you couldn't get it done with Patrick Mahomes and like everything that they had over there, and I'm not saying it was his fault by any means, but I just thought he looked okay with Patrick Mahomes. I never thought that like he looked great or anything like that. And so I just think at this point, I mean, honestly, you know what? When I think about it, he actually might be what Baltimore needs, man, because you already got the speedy Zay Flowers. You already got, like I guess if you want to call it like the deep threat. And what's my man's name? I can't think of it right now. Anyways, let me see. It'll come to me in a minute. But so maybe at this point, man, if you put DeAndre Hopkins like in the slot, or something like that, or maybe I mean, he is a good possession receiver. You know what I mean? So maybe it might work. I don't know. I think he kind of like on the tail end of his career, man. Let me see. Oh, Rashad Bateman, that was the other kind I was thinking about. But he could be serviceable in that offense, man. But like I said, I just don't think he's like that clear. Like, he's not that number one receiver anymore. Like, he could be decent in a good offense, but I think his like really really good days are over. So, okay, signing, nothing really too crazy. Uh, Josh Allen, man, Josh Allen got the big 6-year, $330 million contract. Um, I told y'all before, man, Josh Allen, my favorite quarterback, and I'm glad to see him get the bag. But real talk, man, I I would have traded Jared Goff and a bunch of picks to get Josh Allen on my line, man. I swear, I love the way Josh Allen played, man, and I just think he a beast. But he got the bag with Buffalo, $250 million guaranteed. They also signed their young edge rusher Greg Rousseau to 4 years, $80 million, which I actually think that was a smart signing, because he's been really good since he came into the league. I think he came out of Miami, and it's better to catch him. Better to catch him on like a middle tier type contract before they start demanding like that crazy money. Um, so to this, he has basically the same contract as Josh Sweat, but he's 4 years younger or something like that than Josh Sweat. So to me, this contract makes way more sense than the Josh Sweat contract. But I thought that was a good signing for them. And then they also picked up the aforementioned Joey Bosa for $12 million a year. And Joey's been on the decline to a certain degree. I mean, he's had some injuries and stuff, but to get him for what they got him for and to pair him alongside with the Greg Rousseau, and then you got what's my man Ed, their defensive tackle Ed Oliver. You know what I mean? They got rid of Von Miller, but you got some pieces on that line, man. I think they're going to be a really good formidable line. So I thought they made some really good moves. Carolina signed J.C. Horn to the largest contract, I believe, by a cornerback. So he got 4 years, $100 million, which I think that's more than Pat Surtain. And I don't think he's not even close to being a better player than Pat Surtain, but I get it. It's like next man up mentality. The same thing with like these quarterbacks and receivers and stuff. So I can only imagine. I can only imagine what Jamar Chase about to get, man. Like he holding them boys ransom right now for the bag. He already talking about he want the highest non-quarterback contract, and this is why teams are stupid. And I don't want to get sidetracked too much, man. But this is why teams are stupid. This is why I appreciate my GM for getting these deals done early, because you see some of these organizations like the Cowboys and the Bengals, and just some of these organizations and the 49ers, like you keep waiting and waiting and waiting. The contract's never going to go down. It's only going to go up. So you might as well get ahead of it, man, and just pay them. And because I promise you, man, like whatever it is that what Fat Joe say? Yesterday's price is not today's price. Yesterday's price is not today's price. Every day you keep waiting and another contract go by, somebody else is getting paid and somebody else is setting the bar this much higher, this much higher, this much higher. So y'all doing yourself a disservice by prolonging the inevitable, man. If you know that for a fact that you're signing somebody to a contract, stop playing games and just sign them to the contract. Get it out the way. That way you can, you know what I mean? Like, it's gonna sound crazy in that moment, but guess what? Next year it's gonna be 10 other contracts that's higher than that one, and we'll be talking about how you got a bargain because you signed them early. So again, man, I can't praise my GM Brad Holmes enough for like just getting these deals out the way. It's just one. I hope he signs Jameson Williams right now, and I hope he gives Jameson. And it's not even that Jameson Williams up until this point has been deserving of a DeVonta Smith contract because he's had the suspensions, he's had the injuries. You know what I mean? He's just done a lot of dumb things. But you're paying him early. For one, you're paying him off his potential, but for two, you're getting it out the way early so that you can come in a little bit less. Because if he has the type of season that I think he's going to have next year, then he's going to be talking about something crazy like some AJ Brown money or something. So go ahead and get him like a little $26 million a year contract, something like that. Get it out the way. You know what I mean? That way you got these staggered contracts. That's another thing. You got these staggered contracts so that none of them are, right in line with the next one. And you know what I mean? So it allows you the freedom to be able to constantly, like, each year sign somebody else that you might need to sign, whatever the case may be. I mean, it don't seem like rocket science to me, but I ain't no GM. But yeah, I don't understand these teams though, man. Like, y'all quit playing with these dudes. Just get them the bag, get it out the way, bro. Rip the Band-Aid off, get it out the way. I know it's easy for me to say it ain't my money, but at the end of the day, man, I don't feel sorry for no GM owner. Y'all don't do nothing. Y'all just collect checks. You know what I'm saying? So end of the day, man, cut that man a check, get it out the way early and just let them go out there and ball. One less thing for y'all to worry about, one less thing for them to worry about. But anyways, y'all garbage organizations keep running the teams the way y'all want to run it. You know what I mean? Keep driving up that price. It is what it is. Anyways, Obviously, the Myles Garrett got the crazy $160 million. Man, I can't even lie. I was so baffled when I saw this. I mean, the way this dude was talking all that tough talk about how he was wanting to, leave Cleveland and all this stuff, man. Like, this made no sense. This absolutely made no sense to me, bro. You were going to get that kind of contract. I don't care where you went to. So, excuse me. So clearly, like, you weren't all that concerned about leaving Cleveland like you say you were, because I don't care who traded for you. You were going to get. Maybe you wasn't going to get 40 million. Maybe you were only going to get 36 million or 38 million, whatever the case may be. But you were going to get probably the same amount of guaranteed money no matter what. And that's really what matters, is the guaranteed money. So this made no sense to me whatsoever. I have no clue why Myles Garrett, if he really truly wanted out of Cleveland, I have no clue why he signed this contract. So that tells me that, hey, what they say back in the day, man, must be the money. What Nelly say, you know what I mean? So, I mean, like I said, man, this one let me scratching my head. I can't even lie. But hey, hopefully, maybe they sold Myles Garrett on some plan that they got to draft Cam Ward or Shador or somebody, like, I don't know, man. But regardless, I don't know what the hell Cam or Myles Garrett was thinking, but it is what it is. I thought two teams made some really good signings, man. Actually, three teams. Nothing crazy, you know what I mean? Well, I thought one of them made a really good signing, and one just re-signing of their player. I thought the Tampa Bay made a really good signing in Hassan Reddick. I mean, they got him for, I think, like $12 million or something like that, or $14 million. Let me see. What did they get him for? Where does this say? Oh yeah, so they got him for $14 million. I thought he's another guy that I wish my Lions would have went after, man. When you start seeing like the contracts that some of these premier edge rushers are getting, and he's been really good for at least the last 5 or 6 seasons. He's undersized. I know I don't want to keep bringing it back to the Lions, but hey, that's my team. So I know the Lions have like this. They have like this prototype edge rusher that they like to shoot for, like this. Like they want guys that are like 6'5", 260 or something like that. Who the hell doesn't want that kind of player? But those, if a guy's 6'1", 6'2", 240, and he gets to the quarterback, who cares? I mean, at the end of the day, like, all you care about is him getting to the quarterback. I don't care what size he is, So, and he's proven. So this was a great move for Tampa Bay, and then re-signing Chris Godwin obviously was another really good move. Chris Godwin was balling last year before I think he tore his ACL, but he was absolutely balling. And if he comes back and he's fully healthy, this was a great move. So I thought they made really good moves there. I thought that Denver made two really good moves. They pulled two players off of the 49ers, two prominent players from the 49ers defense. They signed Dre Greenlaw, and they signed, what's his name? How you say it? Hufanga. They signed Hufanga, the safety, too. So, or he's a safety or a linebacker, I can't remember. But so they signed those two guys, and those are two really, really good players. They both got injured, and so obviously, Broncos are betting on them coming back from injury and like being, back to the players that they were. But I thought those were two really good players that they signed. I thought the Chiefs made two, like, everybody plucking the 49ers players, man. I thought the Chiefs took two of their players too, but I thought these were two really good, like, low key moves. And if my fantasy football boys is watching, man, I'll be stealing my ideas. But I thought that KC made a good move getting Eli Mitchell, so I might take him next year in fantasy. He's a low key beast. And then they got the guy that was filling in for Trent Williams. What's his name? Jalen Moore, Jalen Moore. But he was filling in for Trent Williams, and they signed him they signed that kid to like a relatively cheap contract, given how he performed when Trent Williams was out. So they got him for 2 years, $30 million. So I think that this is why I like Brett Veach, man, and why I think he's one of the best GMs out there. These are two like low key underrated signings. Now I know the Chiefs, they got plucked from a couple of their linemen and stuff like that, Tooney and forget who else, but they're banking on like the young guys that they drafted the young guy they drafted last year, and then this Jalen Moore cat, they're banking on them. Plus, obviously, they're going to end up re-signing what's his name, Trey Smith. So they're banking on all their young guys to, and then they still got Creed Humphrey. So all these guys to get it together and get it together pretty quick. So I thought these were two really good signings. And then let's see who else, man. Obviously, DaVante Adams got the contract with LA. He's been trying to get back to LA for which he's not. I don't even think he's from LA. I think he's actually from like more of the Bay Area. I think that's where he's from originally. But well, when he was the whole thing was when he was trying to get back to Oakland because that was obviously closer to where he was from. And I think the first year he got there, I think that was the year they started in Vegas, if I'm not mistaken. Y'all let me know. I could be wrong. Y'all get in the comments, let me know. But either way, so he's back in California where he wants to be. That's actually I think that's actually going to end up being a super super dangerous team, man. As much as I hate to admit it, man, because I don't like Stafford, man. I just don't. But I just think that they're going to be. I think an underrated guy that they lost though, and is Demarcus Robinson, man, because he made some really big plays last year. I think he went to I forget where he went to, man, but he's really really underrated for that team. And he used to be on the Chiefs. I think he was on the Chiefs when they won like their first Super Bowl, and he made some key plays for them. So he's always been one of those like underrated receivers. He's not his numbers aren't going to jump out at you or anything like that, but he's always reliable. He's always serviceable. You know what I mean? And he just makes good play. He makes plays. Timely plays. So I think losing him, they're going to feel that a little bit more than what they might think, because he was one of Stafford's guys that Stafford really liked to go to. Excuse me. But yeah, DaVante signing there was big. Obviously, they're talking about cutting Cooper Kupp. So I actually hope my Lions pick him up. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with y'all, man. I'm hoping that the relationship that Brad Holmes may have with him from when I'm sure Brad Holmes had a hand in drafting Cooper Kupp because he was one of their scouts or whatever at the time. And so I'm hoping that they pick him up. I think that he would fit perfectly alongside Amon-Ra and J-Mo. And even if we bring back Tim Patrick, I just think Cooper Kupp would fit in our offense great. I'm sure he's got other suitors like probably Kansas City or somebody like that. But I hope we go after him if they do let him go. I don't think he's the same Cooper Kupp as he was before, obviously, but yeah, I mean that's not really that far off to say it. I mean, the dude was a Triple Crown winner like 3 years ago, so it's kind of hard to be able to live up to that standard. But I still think he's a really good receiver. So, but anyways, I think a lot of people was probably shocked about Justin Fields to the Jets, 2 years, $40 million. If anybody that knows me knows that I've been a huge Justin Fields fan. I've been a Justin Fields fan, and it's hard for me to say this because I'm a Michigan fan. But when I watched him at Ohio State, man, I thought Justin Fields was the truth, man. And so I've been a fan of his ever since he stepped in the league. Now I know he's had some ups and downs, and he probably hasn't developed the way that he should have developed. But there's a lot that goes into why he didn't develop the way that he should have developed. He's always had, first of all, he's had different head coaches, like for a couple, like 3 out of his 4 years in the league or whatever. He's been in the league for 5 years or whatever. He's had like 3 or 4 different head coaches. He's had defensive minded coaches, for a few of those years. But then he had Matt Nagy for, I think, his first year. And Matt Nagy being there just proved to me that he was not the guy that was running stuff and running plays in Kansas City. It was all Andy Reid, because he couldn't get out of his own way, whether it was Trubisky, whether it was, Justin Fields, whoever it was. So I just feel like there's a lot that goes into just judging Justin Fields based off of the fact that he didn't progress the way that, we would have liked to seen him progress. But I have always been a fan, and for the record, and I got a guy that I work with who's a big Chicago Bears fan, and I literally told him that I thought that Justin Fields was better than Caleb Williams, who they were thinking about drafting. This was last year when they were deciding whether or not they were going to keep Justin Fields or whatever they're going, which everybody already knew they were going to go with Caleb. But I just feel like if, and I know there's probably been a lot of people that have had a similar take or the same take, but tailor the offense to Justin Fields, man. That's all you have to do. Now, Justin Fields has to be better. He is not getting away out of this scot-free by any means. Like he makes bad plays and stuff too. He takes a lot of sacks that he shouldn't take. He definitely does not anticipate throws the way he should and throw guys open. But I do think that you can coach those things into him. And so I feel like to give up on a guy that's 24 years old, I think he's 24, 25, something like that. To give up on a guy like that who hasn't really had the greatest the greatest coaching or the greatest he's had some good players. So I'm not going to act like he hasn't had good play. He's never had a good offensive line ever. He's never had a good offensive line throughout the entirety of his career. So I think if you're able to give him a good line, give him a good OC. He's got Garrett Wilson there. He played with him in college, so you can start there. Draft another receiver. I feel like give him a chance, man. And I'm going to be the first one to tell you that this year for me is definitely like a make or break year for Justin Fields. I'm a fan of his, but at this next year is make or break, and definitely in this 2 years this is make or break for me, man. I will be off the Justin Fields train. Pause if he don't get it, if he don't start to look more like an NFL quarterback. But again, I am a fan, and I do want to see what he does with the Jets. So good signing by Aaron Glenn, man, and the Jets. And I hope Justin Fields. I hope he works out for you guys. Man, I still don't really know what to think about this DK Metcalf trade to the Steelers. Like they still don't even know who their quarterback's gonna be, and they talking about bringing in Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, they have been talking back and forth between Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, and clearly Justin Fields is gone now. But I still don't know what to think about this, man. I feel like it makes sense to bring back Russ more so than Aaron Rodgers. Just get him a line. You know what I mean? Like that, especially if you can get Russ for a fairly decent contract. I mean, Russ is at a point right now where he better not be asking for more than $15 or $20 million a year, honestly. Like the suitors are not there anymore. And Russ, you made a lot of money, man. And I'm a fan of yours, man. I always have been. But you cannot be picky and choosy about where you go. Otherwise, unless you planning on playing the sitting out game and just waiting for somebody to get injured. You know what I mean? But at this point, if you're trying to come into the league season to have all the time that you need to get acclimated to a team and have the off season and do everything that you need to do, training camp. This ain't the time to be playing no games, man. So I know you gave the Steelers a discount last year with $1 million a year, but you were still getting paid $30-something million a year from Denver. So now ain't the time to really be playing games, man. But I'd like to see them bring Russ back. I don't know what they're gonna do with Pickens because there's no way in hell they're keeping both DK Metcalf and Pickens. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not a Pickens fan anyway, so I'm just not a fan of the drama receivers, man. Like they annoy the hell out of me, especially the ones that are like drama receivers that don't really produce like that. You know what I mean? Like it's one thing if you Antonio Brown and you was putting up crazy numbers and you bring some drama with you. You know what I mean? But or T.O. when he was back in the days when he was producing, but you wouldn't even produce like that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, are you good on 50-50 balls, stuff like that? Yeah, sure. You catch those. That's all good. But you don't really even produce like that to be just out here wilding out the way that you be throwing these tantrums and stuff like that. So for me, man, he got to go. That's real simple, man. He got to go. So I'm not saying he's not a decent player. You know, I think he probably has a pretty high ceiling, but I don't like all the nonsense that come with it, man. It's just too much, and it don't seem like Tomlin really like it either. He kind of a no nonsense kind of coach anyway. So I can definitely see them moving him here, you know, before the draft or right around the draft or something like that. But but yeah, man. I mean, I thought some of these contracts was crazy. I did like the Steelers picked up Kenneth Gainwell. That was good. That was a sneaky little good pickup too. But Sam Darnold, man, Sam Darnold to the Seahawks for $100.5 million. Oh my God, bro. I swear, man, I really I need to lace him up right now, man. I promise you, bro. Like, I need to lace him up. I'm 46. I need to lace him up right now because these contracts is just getting stupid in every sport. They just getting stupid, man. Like, Sam Darnold has shown you throughout his entire career that he is garbage. I did not know what people saw in him when he came out of the draft. I never thought he was a good player. And I was wrong about a couple of guys in that draft. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I thought he was garbage. I thought Josh Allen was gonna be garbage, and I just thought those two were gonna be bad. I thought Baker was gonna be good. I thought Lamar was gonna be good, and I was wrong about Josh Rosen. I thought Josh Rosen was gonna be good. Josh Allen, clearly, I was wrong about. Sam Darnold, definitely wasn't wrong about him, and obviously, I was wrong about Josh Rosen. Baker turned out decent, and Lamar obviously turned out to be a stud. But I never ever saw what the NFL saw in Sam Darnold, and it's shown throughout his career. Now you can say that he's had some shaky coaching and stuff like that too, bro. But you've been in the league way longer than Justin Fields has, and you have one good season under a great head coach that's also your offensive coordinator, and with all world wide receiver talent and running back, and you know what I mean, like a really good tight end, and you have all these weapons around you, and you have a really good season, but you choke in the end. And to me, is like for Seattle to give him $100 million contract, 55 guarantees. So I mean, I guess if you want to call it like a 2 year, 55 million, whatever. I don't care how you slice it and dice it. I just thought it was I just think it's crazy, man. Like, I think that um, I don't think he's going to come close to replicating what he had this year or what he had last year in Minnesota. But hey, whatever, man. Good for you, Sam Darnold, for getting the bag. I feel the same way about you as I feel about Justin Fields, and I feel even stronger about you because now you done got the bag. Like, this is pretty much a prove it year. You got 1 year to prove it for me as far as Seattle, and I'm like I already was off the Darnold train anyways, Paul. But like, I'm really like I really will not be ever considering you a NFL quarterback again after this. But hey, whatever, man. You got the bag, and you know it is what it is. So, anyways, the other good moves the last team I'm gonna talk about because I think they've been making some really solid moves too. Is the Commanders? They obviously traded for Debo. I believe we talked about that last week, but I thought that this trade that they made for Laramie Tunsil, which I'm still scratching my head for Houston for making that trade. Like, your line was awful last year, and he was your best lineman, and you decided to trade him away. I have no clue what the hell you guys were thinking about, you know, with that trade. But great for the Commanders. Like, I guess the Commanders looked at Houston like, you know, Houston was what they were last year. You know, Houston was that the year before, and they were like, all right, we're going to double down on the season that we had, you know, with our rookie. We're going to do everything we can to go all in and, you know, to try to make this run. I guess the Commanders are looking at it from that same standpoint. And I think they're even taking it a step further because really, like, if you look back to what the Texans did, the Texans, yeah, they went all in from like a standpoint of like they brought in Stephon Diggs as a weapon, and they brought a bunch of defensive players in, Danielle Hunter, and obviously they had already drafted Will Anderson, and like they just brought in a bunch of defensive players, but they didn't do what they needed to do as far as like building the protection around C.J. Stroud, and that's where you have to start at. You got to start in the trenches. And so I think the Commanders are taking the approach of like, yeah, we want to build off of our last season the same way the Texans wanted to, but we're going to do it from a inside out perspective. And so So I really like the move that they made with trading for Tunsil, and then they also picked up Javon Kinlaw on the defensive side too. Again, building it in the trenches. Um, so yeah, the Commanders made some really good moves, man. They're definitely going to be a dangerous team, especially if even if Jayden plays the way he played last year. Like he doesn't even necessarily have to play better because he played really good last year. So even if he plays at the level that he played at last year, they're going to be a dangerous team again.